Welcome to all in this second and last section of LTE QoS course. In this section, we will discuss the quality of service in the LTE network. We will discuss here about the QoS, the quality of service. The QoS is an end-to-end concept. In this slides, the following uses the internet access as an example, and UE sessions include the session within the EPS and session over the internet. The EPS only covers the quality of service requirement for the traffic in the EPS only, that is between the UE and PDN gateway. The session on the internet is beyond the EPS, and between the EPS QoS and non-EPS QoS there is a service level agreement between the external network and mobile home network. Now, as we know from the previous section that EPS bearers are set up between the UE and PDN gateway, and in this picture we have EPS bearer consists of radio bearers, S1 bearers and S5 or S8 bearers. The UE associates with uplink service flow and map with the specific TFT, traffic flow template, and the PDN gateway associate with the downlink service flow and map with the specific TFT. The TFT associates with the radio bearer ID on the radio network side and the TEID, that is the tunnel ID created in the backhaul or towards the EPC side. This is about the EPS bearer QoS. And in the EPS system, the QoS, quality of service, is subscribed in the HSS and the PCRF, policy charging and rule function. The HSS only contains the subscribed QoS of default bearer established when UE attach the network. If the QoS of the default bearer cannot meet the requirement of the service such as voice over IP service, the UE requests to establish a dedicated bearer for the service. The P gateway PGW allocates the QoS for the dedicated bearer based on the QoS authorized by the PCRF. So we have a conclusion that the default bearer QoS is subscribed in the HSS and the dedicated bearer QoS is subscribed in the PCRF. This is the structure of EPS bearer QoS. In this structure, the most important parameters are the QCI and ARP. QCI is the QoS class identifier and ARP is the allocation and retention priority. And each QCI is characterized by throughput, delay and loss rate. On each bearer, ARP is used for the admission control to determine whether the bearer establishment or modification request is accepted or rejected due to limited resources. And bearer can also be divided into two categories based on different services, that is GBR and non-GBR bearers. For GBR bearers, a parameter used for bandwidth control, that is the MBR, maximum bit rate, and for non-GBR bearers, a parameter that is AMBR, aggregated maximum bit rate, is used for the bandwidth control. Next, I will introduce the detail of each parameters. The first QoS parameter, and it is very important, that is the QCI, QoS class identifier. The QCI characterized by the priority, packet delay budget, and packet error loss rate. QCI also specifies the bearer level, packet forwarding priority, and the preceding tables describes the standardized QCI, that is between 1 to 9. It is actually a index identifier of QoS for different parameters. Another QoS parameter, that is ARP, allocation and retention priority. The ARP specifies the following information. First one is the priority level, second one is the preemption capability, third one is the preemption vulnerability. And ARP determines whether the bearer establishment or modification request is accepted or rejected due to limited resources. And also the priority level specifies whether a requested bearer can be set up, modified, or rejected. Preemption capabilities. The preemption capabilities defines whether a bearer allowed to obtain resources allocated to another bearer, or we can say another users with the lower ARP. The preemption vulnerability defines whether a bearer can release the resources assigned to it in order to admit a bearer with a higher priority level, ARP priority level. Because of EPS QoS attributes sent to UE does not contain the ARP. So, whenever the bearer is set up, the parameter has no impact on the data forwarding mechanism on the bearer. The data forwarding mechanism is determined by the QoS parameters such as QCI, AMBR, GBR, and MBR. Now, next QoS parameter is GBR and non-GBR bearers. It means first guaranteed bitrate bearers. It means the certain bandwidth is reserved for the GBR regardless of whether it is utilized or not. The GBR bearers always occupy the resources over the radio link even when no packet is transmitted. In the GBR bearers, there is another parameter, that is MBR, maximum bit rate. MBR parameter is used to limit the bit rate that can be expected for GBR bearers. Any traffic exceeds the MBR will be discarded by a rate shaping functions. In the 3GPP release 8, it currently supports only case where the MBR and GBRs are equal. In the non-GBR bearers, there is no fixed bandwidth is allocated for it, and therefore the packet transmitted on that bearers are uncertain. Packet loss may occur on the non-GBR bearers during the network congestion, and although non-GBR bearers do not have any associated MBR operator and can still use AMBR for bandwidth control on the non-GBR bearers. AMBR means aggregated maximum bit rate, used at both side, UE side as well as PDN gateway side. Next QoS parameter is AMBR. AMBR means aggregated maximum bit rate, and it is applicable only to the non-GBR bearers. For all non-GBR bearers, there are two types of AMBR, that is the APN AMBR and UE AMBR. And also further it classified for uplink and downlink. The APN AMBR limits the aggregate bit rate that can be provided on all non-GBR bearers related to all PDN connections on the same APN. And the UE AMBR limits the aggregated bit rate that can be provided on all non-GBR bearers related with the same UE, because of the value of the AMBR on the uplink and downlink in different directions must be defined differently. So there are four AMBR values for uplink and downlink. That is APN AMBR is used for uplink as well as for downlink, and UE AMBR uplink and UE AMBR downlink. This is the summary of this section. From this section, we know the EPS bearer consists of radio bearer, S1 bearer, and S5 oblique S8 bearers. And default bearer QoS is subscribed in the HSS, whereas the dedicated bearer QoS is subscribed in the PCRF. And we introduce here also the QoS structure. It consists of QCI, ARP, and the bearer. And these bearers can further divided into two categories based on the different services, that is the GBR and non-GBR bearers. And the last, we have introduced the details of each parameter, including QCI, ARP, GBR, AMBR, and MBR. That's all. Thank you.